Have you seen Spider-Man Homecoming? Here are 5 mini lessons about this movie. Number 1. Here's a new word we can learn. Homecoming. Homecoming is basically an event when alumni, which are former students of a school, return to the school for a big event. And usually this big event is a football game or a basketball game. Oftentimes, this event is also associated with a dance. So in the movie Spider-Man Homecoming, we see Peter Parker, the protagonist, the hero, go to a dance with a girl. And I'm not going to spoil the movie for you, but the movie revolves around this event of homecoming. Number 2, this movie is a coming-of-age story. As a genre, which is a category, coming-of-age stories are usually about growth. They're usually about kids who go through a process of growth and a series of challenges to suddenly mature into a young adult. The story, Spider-Man Homecoming, is such a coming-of-age story. Number 3, we can pick up some grammar. At some point, one of the characters said, "I'm not doing this to her, I'm doing this for her." Now, I'm not going to spoil this movie for you by telling you who said this, but we can see here that there are different prepositions, and the different prepositions actually mean different things. If you're doing something to someone, this means that you're doing something that affects another person. Usually, this is negative. So if I ask, "Why are you doing this to her?" I'm basically accusing you of doing something bad to another person. On the other hand, if I'm doing something for you, then usually I'm doing something for your benefit. So I'm usually doing something that's good for you. In this one very neat sentence with a slight switch of the preposition, we get 2 very different meanings. One is negative, doing something to someone, and the other one is positive, doing something for someone. Now, I want you to keep in mind that this is only the case when we consider this particular context. I'm not saying that doing something to someone is always bad and doing something for someone is always good, but in this particular case, that's what we're dealing with. Number 4 is another example of grammar. At some point, we have this dialogue. "I heard you know who he is," someone says. Another person replies, "If I knew who he was, he would already be dead." Now, what do you notice here? This is a conditional sentence. Can you guess what kind of conditional sentence this is? This is, in fact, the present unreal conditional. It's about a hypothetical situation, which is a situation that may not necessarily be real. It's a situation that we have to imagine. Even though knew looks like it's in the past tense, with the usage of if, it's actually just emphasizing the idea that the situation is unreal. The entire sentence is in fact still in the present tense. We can see more evidence of this with the usage of would. He would already be dead. Would is also part of the present unreal conditional. And finally, number 5 is a mindset we can pick up from this. There's a character called Happy in Spider-Man Homecoming. Happy is an agent and he works for Tony. Tony, as you may know, is Iron Man. In this particular scene, Happy is helping out with a move. So he's talking to someone about what needs to be moved, and he names all these superhero gears. One of the things that he wanted to talk about was Thor's belt, but he had trouble pronouncing it because it's actually not English. I'm sure I'm also butchering it, but it should sound something like Megingjur. And it's from the Norse mythology. It's the name of Thor's magic belt. Notice what happens here. What happens here is very, very important because when Happy had trouble recalling the pronunciation of the word, what does he do? He gives it a few tries, he says, Maggie, Maggie, and then he substitutes that with Thor's magic belt. Here's a lesson on flexibility that we can definitely learn. You're not always going to remember how to say every word. You're not always going to remember the word itself, whether it's pronunciation or the vocabulary. But what you can do is use the rest of your knowledge in English to supply the information that is needed so that you can continue on with your communication. And at the end of the day, language is only a tool. Communication is the most important thing. I hope you have enjoyed these 5 mini lessons on Spider-Man Homecoming. If you'd like to see more mini lessons like this based on movies, please give me a thumbs up. Thank you. And please do share this with anybody who might benefit from the knowledge and have fun in the process. See you the next time.